Good morning, and welcome to the panel discussion on community perspectives. Before we get started, I wanted to take a moment to thank Doug True and Craig Piercy for their very informative presentations on the history of nuclear and where nuclear is today. The Division of Energy is a federally recognized state energy office, and one of the roles that we fulfill is to educate the public and interested stakeholders on a variety of energy topics, including nuclear. So we really appreciate Doug and Craig coming to Missouri to help us bring nuclear back to the conversation here in Missouri. In this discussion, we are turning our focus to a more local connection. In Missouri, we have one nuclear power plant located in Callaway County. It was constructed back in the 70s and has been in operation since. It produces about 14% of the energy or power that is generated here in Missouri. And today we have three panelists joining us to talk about their experiences and their perspectives about working with the nuclear power plant and living near power plants. So I will start with Michelle Kidwell. She is the Callaway County Emergency Management Director. Michelle, would you like to say a few opening remarks?
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone, and it's a pleasure to be part of this panel. So I'm Michelle Kidwell, and I'm with Callaway County Emergency Management. I've been with Callaway County now for 19 years. It's been a really rewarding career. Some of my role in local government is basically coordinating public safety, public health, and other stakeholders during and after emergencies. Our missions to ensure preparedness, maintain operational readiness, and support a unified response to protect lives, property, and critical infrastructure.
Thank you very much. Our second panelist is Gary Youngerman. He's he is the Callaway County Presiding Commissioner. Gary, would you like some opening remarks?
Thank you. Yeah, as she stated, I'm Gary Youngerman, the Presiding Commissioner of Callaway County. I've held that position for 15 years now. County government was nothing I thought I was ever going to be in, but here I am today, 15 years later. So my job is very similar to Michelle's, but it's a little more in depth with budgeting and all the stuff that we do with the county as a whole. But our relationship when it comes to nuclear is, very good, and it continues to grow. So hopefully, as we go through the questions here today, we can answer some things and let you know what goes on locally with local government and working with a nuclear power plant.
Thank you, Gary. And Dennis Corrigan is with the Corrigan Company Pipefitters Union. Dennis?
Good morning. Thank you. My name is Dennis Corrigan, CEO of Corrigan Company Mechanical Contractors in St. Louis. We are the on-site mechanical maintenance contractor at the Callaway Nuclear Facility. We have partnered and collaborated with Ameren at Callaway for over 30 years, performing regular maintenance as well as critical path piping and equipment replacement projects and during refueling outages. We assist in the planning and document development for all piping projects performed at Callaway. We provide highly skilled, expert craftsmen to perform this work. Our team is competent and trusted. Some of our team members have been in the plant for over 20 years of experience. For our men to enter the Callaway plant, it requires 40 hours of upfront on-site training and testing. These trainings and certifications must be retaken annually to maintain their qualification badge. From our perspective, developing and maintaining a highly skilled workforce working safely is our purpose. As a result, we have established a true trust partnership with Callaway Nuclear Facility where we support, encourage, and empower our team to work safely while producing a quality product. Our industry partners at Plumbers and Pipefitters Local 562 work hard to bring professionalism, commitment, and accountability to our team. Without this talented workforce, we couldn't have developed this important partnership. The leaders in our state support the development of a highly skilled workforce. Plumbers and pipe fitters have the vision to build educational programs, training centers to continue a pipeline of skill for the future of the state of Missouri, and that is our focus. Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis. Thank you. So we're here today to have some discussions about what it's like to live, work near nuclear power plants. And Michelle, I'd like to start with you as for our first question. As I mentioned, the Division of Energy is federally designated as our state energy office, and one of the many roles that we have is to look at and support energy security planning, and that involves emergency planning as well. Can you talk a little bit about the county's experience with planning for nuclear-related emergency and how it's affected planning for other kinds of emergencies in your area?
Absolutely. So planning for nuclear-related emergencies has significantly improved our overall emergency preparedness. I think because of the level of detail, coordination, and accountability that's required in radiological planning, especially through the federally evaluated drills, which we're kind of fortunate to have that little bit of oversight, that evaluation. Not every county gets that. It's really strengthened our ability to respond to any emergency. It's helped us build relationships, refine communication strategies, and improve our emergency operations center procedures as well. In many ways, the structure and discipline of radiological planning has raised the bar for how we prepare for all hazards, whether it's severe weather, hazardous materials, or public health incidents. A lot of the systems that we have for radiological planning we use across the board. You know, we have the public alert and warning systems, our outdoor warning sirens. It's used in the EPZ, also used for tornado warnings and destructive thunderstorms. And then we use the IPAWS, of course. A lot of our planning and documentation, it's kind of been hand in hand for us because, with radiological incident planning, you plan for reception centers. If you have to evacuate, an area. And so we've utilized a lot of the same planning methods for other reception centers as well as our unification sites that would be utilized, in other emergencies. Having the regular nuclear exercises, so we do have an exercise every year, and every other year it's evaluated by FEMA, which is really good because it helps you really look at if you need to make any improvements or changes along those lines. But it's helped us refine those processes in our emergency operations center as well. So when we activate for other things, the staff that make up our EOC are very well prepared and understand their roles and what they're supposed to do.
Thank you, Michelle. Gary, I would pose the same question to you, but from your perspective as a commissioner.
I think Michelle did a very good job of answering that. Having the nuclear power plant has probably made us better as a county when it comes to being prepared for disasters in the future. As we put together the things that we have with our Emergency Operations Center, with our 911 departments, and then as we move into being prepared for whether it's a tornado, possibly an earthquake, whatever it might be, or like Michelle said, severe weather's in the area. I think it makes us, as you get experience with that, very comfortable with the thunderstorms and the major storms, because we have done some really in-depth training with nuclear to prepare us for some of that stuff. So it's a good thing, I think, for us when it comes to protecting the citizens that we do and perform public safety for on a daily basis.
Sure. now. Okay. So it sounds like, there's a lot of planning that goes involved and a lot of coordinations. Can you talk a little bit about what that looks like with the power plant? How often do you engage with the power plant to help to make sure that those communication lines are open?
Me?
Sure.
Yeah, so we actually communicate probably on a monthly basis because we do different tests of some of the equipment, the notification equipment and things of that nature. But we actually have a really good working relationship. They're very supportive in other endeavors in the county, other planning things that I do. They've helped support my volunteer program on numerous occasions. When any changes are made to a plan, they will meet with us. I say us because there's 3 other risk counties in person and kind of go over that and make sure we understand it. And if we have any questions or if we need them to do something or make a change, they're very adept at doing that as well.
Very good.
Yeah, and just to add to that, I mean, we do work with them when needed, on a day-to-day basis, but we also meet 4 times a year in a quarterly meeting where the emergency management directors, along with Ameren staff, along with the county commissions, because in the area we are with the 10-mile EPZ, there are 4.
Can you elaborate on that? What is the 10-mile EPZ?
Emergency Planning Zone, I believe, was what it stands for. So that's how things are done when we work on that. There's the 1 mile, 5 mile, and 10 mile as we prepare to do something, if something would happen. But we meet as a big group quarterly and discuss and ask questions and so it's a learning process for not only the county commissions, but in some cases for Ameren, Missouri, it's theirself as we communicate. So.
Yeah, feel free.
So what Gary said on the quarterly meetings too, the collaboration isn't just us and the plant and the other 3 counties, but it's also, there's several stakeholders there. There's the State Emergency Management Agency participates, DNR participates, Department of Health and Senior Services participates, as well as FEMA. So, I mean, there's a large collaboration of people that meet on a quarterly basis to discuss everything. So it's really good.
Excellent. Thank you very much for that. Dennis, I'm going to direct this next question to you. So one of the major concerns that I've heard over the years in my role is the need for workforce development, and not just for nuclear power plants, but just in energy jobs in general. But can you talk a little bit about kind of the trainings, the certifications, the skill that's needed for the labor that would go into building a new nuclear plant, and maybe some of the practical experiences that would be required?
Well, from a historical perspective, about 10 years ago, we got together with our labor partners, plumbers and pipefitters, Local 562, and talked about the baby boomers, that bulge in the population. They're all getting ready to retire. And, when I've been in my office and people come in and they say, I'm going to retire next month, and next month comes around, I shake their hand and they walk out the door, and I think, there goes an encyclopedia of knowledge and skill in construction, and how are we going to replace that? So we got together with our labor partners, and to make a long story short, we built a $50 million training center that is up and operating. We're very proud of that. And Local 562 and the Mechanical Contractors Association has put a big emphasis on recruiting younger kids into the trades, bringing them in, qualified, good mechanics, and they go through the training center and raise their skills, and we have lots of programs that these guys participate in. And we're trying to replenish, we're trying to do the knowledge transfer to the younger crowd, so that when Ameren and other big industries in Missouri call on us to build their facilities, we'll have the skilled people to give them. So that's something we work on. Well, I consider that my job, basically, when I go to work, is try to find good young people to replenish the workforce that's fading fast.
Yes, and that's a big concern across the industry as well. But I think something, the discussions about looking into new nuclear helps kind of bring people to the table and really look at the skill level that's needed in those jobs.
The good news is, from where I sit, the 25 and 30-year-olds are really good mechanics. They want to make a commitment to raise their skills. They want to work hard. These are very good paying jobs with great benefits. And so I'm very optimistic about the younger crowd. They're good guys and good gals, and you know, everything's going to be fine. They'll be there when the bell rings.
That's great. Gary and Michelle, I offer the same question to both of you, kind of a more local perspective as far as the job market and what it looks like for skilled labor.
You know, ironically, I sat on the state workforce board as well, which is a challenge in itself. But that across the country, we're looking at what was just talked about, the workforce in general. I mean, I'm at the whatever you call it, the low end, I guess, of the baby boomer generation, and so my years are number 2 here as we move forward. So having people to put in these positions, because it is true that every time one of the current retirees are leaving, they walk out the door with 30, 40 years of experience that has just walked out. And it's the same way somewhat in government, local government anyway, that people have been there for a while and then they walk away and the experience walks out the door, and that's a lot, and it can change how local government will even be into the future. But so it's a challenge all across the country, even in the healthcare fields and whatnot. It's a challenge to try to keep a workforce that is knowledgeable and experienced and ready to go. So we all got a lot of work to do, and we're all doing a lot of the same things. I mean, some of the things we're doing locally in local government is we've started programs in the last 2 or 3 years where we're actually paying for their training, and then they work for us for a given amount of time, whether that's in the law enforcement world, or even, no, I'm dead. But even in our just public works, or it's hard to get people that have CDL driver's license and things. So we're working on that too with classes that we're putting them through CDL training locally. So.
Well, all right. Thank you for those comments. This next question really is kind of for any one of our panelists here. And so, what challenges have you experienced in your role in working with the nuclear power plant? Oh.
I guess I'll go first. Ironically, and I say this with full respect to anybody that's sitting out there that's in government, probably with a nuclear power plant, and one of the challenges, and it's not a terrible challenge, but one of the challenges is you've got multiple different levels of government that are part of even the planning and making sure that we're all ready to do things. So, you start off with local government and county commissions, along with emergency management directors who do a wonderful job for counties. But then you move up to the state level because they're involved too with the trainings. And in Missouri, it's SEMA. And they do a great job, but there's 2, and then all of a sudden you throw FEMA in the mix, and so you got the federal government involved. So you got 3 different forms of government that are trying to put together plans and stuff. So not that there aren't challenges out there working with nuclear or any other big industry, but in this one, that you got 3 different forms of government that are trying to put together a plan. And honestly, in the 15 years now that I've been doing it. It's been a great relationship. We work well together to try to make sure that the citizens of our county are kept informed, but also they know that we've got everything under control. And if something would happen, public safety is a big thing on all of us and what we're working on.
Right. Dennis?
Yeah, I would say in one word, safety. I worry about that. I mean, that's part of my job. Our men at the power plant, these pipes are 24, 30 inches in diameter, and they're heavy wall, and they need to be welded together up under a floor where the turbine is on top of that. And so we have, good mechanics, good riggers, good welders, and people that can work safely, because it's dangerous. And you can get hurt, you can get killed. So, I think about a lot of the safety aspect of all this. And we have a good safety record, or we wouldn't be there. And so we work hard on that. And I won't say I worry about it, but I think about it and work with our people all the time to make sure we're doing everything we can to create a safe environment for these guys to work in.
Excellent. Michelle, do you have something you want to add?
Yeah, so I think for me, doing emergency management in a county where there is a nuclear facility, it does add an additional layer of responsibility. And I think for me, at one point it was like, what if something goes wrong? But there's truly so much redundancy that has built in to the ways of being notified, the ways of alerting the public. So I think for me, my biggest challenge and probably my fear is just to ensure that the community really understands the various protective measures. I think it can get confusing with as many disasters or, severe weather events that we have. The difference between, evacuating if it's a radiological as opposed to, sheltering in place, and, sheltering for a tornado, you want the lowest floor, but sheltering in place for radiological, it's turning off your ventilation system. So I think that is kind of a little bit of a challenge, is getting information out to the public and really making sure that they understand that message and know what actions to take.
Your communication is usually the number one challenge in any situation, so appreciate that comment. Well, let's flip the question and let's ask, what do you see as the opportunity, or what opportunities or partnerships are you excited about in a new nuclear generation in Missouri? And I'll open it up to any one of the panelists for comment.
Well, our family's in construction. So, the idea that they're going to build another nuclear reactor in Missouri is very exciting. And, not only will it provide a lot of very, very good paying jobs and provide a product where we have reliable energy, where the previous speakers talked about that. But that would be something that we would look very forward to, very exciting.
Good. Gary or Michelle, would you like to add a comment?
Yeah, I mean, I look forward to the continued opportunities for more collaboration with the Callaway Center, especially as the energy landscape evolves and public safety becomes more interconnected with that. So definitely community outreach and education, innovation. I think enhancing community education efforts is something that would be really good, because when people move to the county, lots of times they look at a nuclear reactor as a nuclear bomb, and so it's an education for them to understand it's not the same thing at all. So I think that's a good opportunity that I look forward to, especially if we're lucky enough to get another plant in our counties.
I think they pretty much hit it, but just the opportunity, I think, to work with in our case, working with Ameren, Missouri, it's a wonderful relationship. The communication is very good, but just the opportunities that it opens up. The exciting thing for me is just the opportunities that it opens up for jobs and opportunity for people. Callaway County is centrally located pretty much in the state of Missouri, very rural, and the opportunity for people to have a good paying job and a good future working with energy, because as we all know, energy, you always hope that you're not using more and more all the time, but you are using more and more with some of the things that we do with technology, because it's a technology-driven world anymore, and energy is going to be crucial. So that I think is what excites me, is knowing that we'll have enough baseload energy along with great opportunity for people in their professional fields.
Great. So this next question, I kind of want you to step out of your official or professional roles and kind of talk about what you see as some of the benefits of having a nuclear power plant in your community. I'll open it up to any one of the panelists who want to start that conversation.
I do think it strengthens our local economy, having, which in turn supports, resilience in the county.
I think I kind of hit that with my
I'm trying
last
to go out of
opening
my box.
remark.
It's hard to go out of my
But,
box.
I think, you wanted me to play outside my role here, so this is what's hard for me. But as just a person, I know what it did for Callaway County, because I'm I guess a lifelong member of the nuclear plant, because of the opportunity I had as a young person in the mid-'70s to watch it start. I grew up probably 2.5 miles from that location, if you draw a straight line, probably 5 miles by car. But so I got to watch it start, and actually my wife worked there under construction for the construction company. And so with all that being said, I think it's good in many different ways and opportunities. So, but supplying that baseload energy need, not only because most of that power in Callaway, it doesn't stay in Callaway, it goes to other places, but in the state of Missouri and so on. So, it's just an interesting situation when you go out and say, I'm the home of the nuclear power plant, everybody kind of knows where you live, so.
Sure.
Well, for me, it's truly clean. It's a clean energy. And years ago when I was in college, or my 30s, it was characterized as bad. Mm-hmm. And the skull and the crossbones and all that stuff. But to look at, I drive by on Highway 70 and see Callaway and see that steam. It's just water coming up out of that thing. And so it's truly clean. And I think, that's what I think about when I drive by or in airports. I was in Georgia landing, and you could see that plant that he had a slide of earlier operating, and I'm thinking that's really cool. It's a clean installation providing great energy, for that whole state. So I like the fact that it's clean energy, although people don't characterize it as that much these days.
Sure. Yeah. Well, these are some great conversations. The path that we're taking now is this summit is helping bring nuclear back into the conversations in Missouri. And so, we're kind of on the leading edge of those conversations, the initial parts of those conversations. So, if you have the opportunity to kind of reach out to the policymakers who are starting those conversations and seeing where those conversations go, what would be your message for them and to help ensure the development of nuclear energy goes in the right direction?
I think I'd probably just tell them, over the last 30, 40 years, what has been done in the nuclear world as far as safety and how it creates power, the good baseload energy. I think I would have them look at that and all the research that has been done and where we are today compared to 40 years ago. Because I can tell you that, growing up, there was that fear when that all first started, because I've lived there in Callaway County forever. So, but being able to work with them, there is no fear. It's just we go through everything we go through to be prepared in case something does happen. But I was going to add a while ago when he was talking about the steam coming out, the little people in Callaway County, the young kids, they call it the cloud maker, until they realize what it is. But it's just a unique situation, and with the record of nuclear, especially in Missouri, there shouldn't be a fear, because it is, those people out there are doing a great job at what they do to manage that facility. And I also think that, the people that are behind the scenes, that if something would happen, that we all have to get in the game and now be part of it, we're prepared as well. So.
Well, I would tell the policymakers that they're going to have to start working overtime, because the opponents are strong and they're vocal. And trying to change their mind is really tough. But I would, it's their job to get the facts and convince the opponents that this is a safe road to go and it's needed, as some of these other speakers showed us. So I would tell them, they're going to have to burn the midnight oil, convincing their opponents that this is a good thing.
Michelle?
I would probably say that out of all and I'm not opposed to anything out there, but out of all the different industries that, produce energy, fuel, they're so highly regulated, they're extremely safe. And in working with the plant I work with, and I've talked to some others that work with some other plants, their safety is their very high priority. And if you also, what I would say to the policymakers too, is you look at I laugh because sometimes I'll go to a conference or a training and somebody will be like, if my phone rings, they'll be like, it's not the plant, is it? And that's like kind of the least of my concerns. But if you look, there's more pipeline incidents, there's more accidents at coal mines, just different things of that nature. So I feel like, and I'm not real political, but it's extremely safe, it's highly regulated. I don't know why they wouldn't want to do it, and it is clean and efficient energy.
Well, thank you all for your conversations today. I think we have reached the end of our time with this topic, but appreciate you coming on stage with me and talking about the community perspective about the Callaway plant. It's been a delight to talk with you and very insightful. Thank you very much.
Thank you.